Welcome to the Global from Asia podcast, where the daunting process of running an international business from Hong Kong is broken down into straight up actionable advice. And now, your host, Michael Michelini.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in again this week. I've been working hard on the globalfromasia.com website, doing some upgrades to it, asking for you guys to sign up for the newsletter, and I'll give you a free ebook of how to supercharge your Hong Kong company. So if you're interested, drop onto the website and pop in your email, and I'll give you a free teaser PDF. And then when the book is done, hopefully in a week or two, I'll give you the first copy for free. Okay, so let's go into this week's episode. We're talking to my friend Joe Constanty, who has launched his brand from Kickstarter about a year ago. Was their first campaign, and he's truly got a global team and operation between Shanghai, China, South China for production and distribution in Vegas. He's definitely a pro and a global businessman. So without further ado, let's get him on the show. Okay, thank you everyone for tuning in to a Global from Asia podcast. We have Joe Constanty here. He's actually in Shanghai today. Thanks for being here, Joe.
Thanks a lot, Michael. I appreciate you for having me here today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being on the show and sharing. So can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Where do I get started? My name's Joe Constanty, like you said, and I've been living out here in Shanghai for the better part of the past decade, and originally from the United States. And during the past number of years, been working on a number of different startups via Shanghai and within the technology space. And most recently in the fashion space, fashion tech space, where myself and two other business partners, we helped to launch something called the Unbelievable Testing Laboratory, where we make shoes. So that's what we've been working on for about the past year and a half. And so we have a design office here in Shanghai. We have sales and marketing out of Las Vegas in the United States. And then we do most of our production out of southern China in a city called Dongguan. So it's a little bit about me.
Wow, yeah, no, I'm wearing your pencils now. Actually,
awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty cool, and I think that's our focus for today. I know we both all have so many different experiences, and I think the one I picked for you today is maybe the Kickstarter and your current project. So I was I was lucky enough to time it that I was in Shanghai when you were doing your launch party for your campaign and Kickstarter, and it was pretty sweet. So maybe can you give listeners an idea, how did this venture get started?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. Actually, the company Unbelievable Testing Laboratory was founded by a Chinese designer. His name's Token Hu, now my business partner. And he had previously worked at Frog Design and Microsoft before that. He worked for 9 Limited, running World of Warcraft. He's a bit of a boy genius. Actually went to 2 days of high school and dropped out. But long story short, and fast forward a bit, is I had been sitting down with his former general manager at Frog Design and just kind of, discussing different ventures that were going on, projects they were working on. And she mentioned Token and his company that he had started. And she said he really needed someone to help with operations and setting this thing global. She gave me a pair of his shoes. They're a pair of Tyvek paper blue shoes with white polka dots, and to be honest with you, I threw them in the back of my closet and I kind of didn't think much of them. It really wasn't my style of shoe. 2 months later, I pulled them out, put them on, probably June of 2012, and was out at a meeting, sitting down at a meeting with kind of a new connection, and he reaches across the table and says, "Joe, your shoes, they're pretty cool. Can I touch them?" And it just blew my mind away. And I was like, someone wants to touch my shoes. He barely even knows me. Not 2 hours later, same thing happens in another meeting. And from there, I made it a point to get back in touch with Token via Frog Manager. And a couple months later, Token and I sat down and just kind of over a coffee, which turned into several hours of conversation, we decided to, go into business together and make the Unbelievable Testing Laboratory International truly a reality. And we spent the next 6-7 months where we brought on another good friend of mine, Sean Nath, to really found this thing, and we started it via Kickstarter in the summer of 2013, about a year ago right now, actually.
Yeah, it was a pretty successful campaign too, and that's pretty awesome. I know some people, actually, being down in Shenzhen, I always meet people that are having trouble, fulfilling their Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And you've done a great job. I think it's also because you do have a really amazing team, and you were mentioning in the story, and it's definitely like true cross-border, which is amazing. I know some people have a lot of trouble managing different cultures, especially in such an intimate team and a small team. So what do you have for like tips or ways that you kind of have put that together and managed the team?
Yeah, I mean, I guess after 10 years of working here, you kind of get used to working in Shanghai, working in China in general with teams spread out across different cities, and then also working with international folks as well, is that, you come to learn the different nuances. But to be really specific, if you can find great people no matter where they are in the world, you'll be able to do great things together. So as three founders, we make it our priority that the people that we bring into our team, whether they're here in Shanghai or in the United States, we have team members in Manila, in India, actually in Ukraine. And, we make it a point that they have the same ethos as us. They have the same basic principles for running a business as us, which are pretty straightforward. We make awesome shoes so we can do great things with the community around us. And if you stick to those principles and find great people that have those same types of thoughts, feelings, and desires, you'll be able to work and manage with them. It's less of a management problem and more of just finding great people to not really fill holes, but to really add amazing value to the team.
That's really great. Yeah, I definitely think, just like you started off an answer, is being here for 10 years is definitely an advantage. I think it just takes...
Yeah, it's a huge advantage.
Yeah, right? Exactly. I think just coming out of here, like I've been here not as long, but I've been here, for almost 7. And you just start to kind of like you said, learn and understand what people are thinking and the cultural ideas.
For realistic expectations of what to get out of the local market in terms of human resources or partners with factories or consultants, whatever it might be. You just have a better understanding of what's going to come your way, and it definitely does take time. And so for anyone that is looking at building Kickstarter projects or outsourcing some type of manufacturing or digital production out to China or some other location that's not from their home country, is that it is best to be working with people that have been around the block a bit. It's not their first rodeo. They need to have done it before. And so seek out help. In China there are like Michael, there are endless supply of expatriates that have been living here for 2, 3, 5, 10 years or more that are always willing to help those people that are looking to work in China or work with China as a viable business option.
Yeah, I agree. I think also sometimes some people see the expat in China as maybe a middleman or an extra layer of communication or cost, but I think they learn quickly that they're definitely adding value in the process. Because when I was doing sourcing, sometimes they would want to go direct to the Chinese factories and try to do it remotely from the U.S. And I definitely agree with you there.
No, I mean it's definitely. I mean if some people can pull it off, and I have seen successful operations like that. But to be quite straightforward and quite frank, it definitely helps to have people on the ground. So even if someone is going to do it themselves, they need to do their homework and come to, for in this case, China, to check out factories or to work directly with the local teams for a period of time, because that way they get there's a real face-to-face interaction, and with that, all the nuances of doing business in China, where it's all the relationships and things along those lines. We don't need to go down that road, but it is important to running a successful cooperation or even outsourcing operation.
Yep, I agree. So let's move more to the Kickstarter side. And I liked, actually, I felt it worked for me too. When in your campaign, you had some proceeds of the profit or project go to a nonprofit. Can you maybe explain about that?
So the big underlying principle to our business is that, we're making really cool shoes so we can help out the community around us. And as a tech-driven footwear company, we use materials like Tyvek and microfiber and all these crazy materials. There's a lot of technology and science that drives our design principles. And so as 3 founders, Sean, Token, and myself, we decided that when we built this company that we would have an effect on the community. And that community that we're trying to empower are, young students, tomorrow's leaders, through access to awesome education. And in our launch, we're working with Teach for America in the United States. So, they are putting great teachers into classrooms around the country. And so what we do is not only do we donate money, but we also work with the schools directly, where we have a design contest going on right now with the kids in Las Vegas, where we're actually going to crowdfund one shoe design from a student later this summer. And we've created a new series called Meet the Geek. It's a lot of fun, where we're literally video session between classrooms, Teach for America classrooms, and NASA and DuPont and different, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math professionals. So this is like the coolest part to my day, is getting to work on these pieces of the business. I wish I could, spend 100% of my time doing it, but there is part of the business to run to be able to operate this side of the business. But something to note for Kickstarter, though, is that Kickstarter very adamantly details that you cannot raise funds for charities on Kickstarter. So in our Kickstarter, we weren't allowed to explicitly talk about our cooperation with Teach for America. It's just an overriding policy that Kickstarter has. If you really want to raise money for charity, Kickstarter is not the place to do it. You need to use things like Indiegogo or CrowdTilt or just another platform that it's more suited for. So something to keep in mind. If you look through our original Kickstarter, there's only one link and two sentences that vaguely mention that we cooperate with Teach for America. And that's just a policy that Kickstarter has, and that's what we had to abide by.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, maybe, I think I learned about it maybe during your launch party.
Yeah.
And but I think it was a really amazing idea, and I think it motivates everyone, like you were saying, just like your team, but your customers around the vision. So so I think now a little bit into like the company setup and structure.
Yeah,
I'm curious too, and I'm sure our listeners, because especially Kickstarter, I think is only U.S., Canada, maybe some in Europe companies.
Yep.
And of course, you're operating in China, manufacturing in China. So, do you want to give us an overview of the company structure, or how you kind of like manage all of it?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. So with Kickstarter, you now have to be a citizen or a company in either the United States, Canada, UK, I believe Australia, and maybe one or two other countries. If not, you need to find a local partner to operate it, like a proper local bank account in that country. So we're domiciled in the state of Nevada, in the city of Las Vegas. And there's a lot of positives about being Nevada. There's no business tax, no state income tax. So there's some great things and opportunities there. So for your listeners, if you're looking at the U.S., the three states that you want to look at to register a company would be Nevada, Delaware, and I believe it's Wyoming. They all have no state income tax and a lot of business tax forgivenesses. We also have a Hong Kong company, a China company as well, Shanghai-based, and we use all these three companies to be able to manage and operate different pieces to the business. So the China company helps pay for all the operations in China, so all the factory work. The Hong Kong company is for basically trade, quote unquote. So that's the logistics, sending the product globally, comes from the Hong Kong company, and we go from there. So logistically, how did we actually fulfill all of our Kickstarter? It was a bit tricky. We sent it all directly from China globally. Looking back on it, it allowed us to get the product out there faster, but maybe the cost and the headache of some of the logistics was probably not worth it. So we were shipping freight, individual parcels globally from Shenzhen in southern China. And then we did send bulk to the United States, where it was then deconsolidated by USPS, United States Postal Service. Then it was sent directly to customers from there. So kind of give you some fun facts about this. We shipped to 58 countries. We had to use 4 different service providers to make it happen, all of which had different policies. There are, obviously, a lot of countries have different import policies and distribution policies that we had to learn about. So these are the things that we had to learn on the fly. And I'd be happy to talk in more detail with any of your listeners if they want to shoot me an email about it. It's a huge pain and something that you need to do your homework on before you get yourself really deep into a project. We had done our homework, but there was still a lot of issues that popped up along the way. That's for sure.
Yeah, I could imagine. I mean, logistics is still got, I think, a lot more development to go. And yeah, like
it has a lot of development to go. And I think anyone who's listening that is running, direct B2C logistics companies, there's a huge opportunity, from China to be able to, coordinate and then deconsolidate in different regions. So send massive, air freight or boat freight to the United States or to Europe, and then deconsolidate it once it gets into the country and then distribute the individual addresses. It's just not being done well or being done at all, for that matter. There's one company, it's called Boxc, Boxc, that you may know of, Michael. They're based out of Shenzhen as well. Okay. And, they help go to the United States and Canada, but that's it. So there needs to be more of these type of companies.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of listeners asking me for help on fulfillment, and we're trying to get more of that on the show. But it's true. Like, some people think Hong Kong fulfillment, but then there's like expensive like warehousing fees, or just the rent is high, and then then you got the duties, and some people think free trade zones and like that are coming up in Shanghai, Shenzhen. But yeah, it's something we're going to try to cover in future episodes for sure. And I appreciate you sharing that.
After all of our homework, Michael, to be really honest with you, the easiest and quickest way was to go directly from our factory, have FedEx pick up for certain Toll, Toll, which is an Australian-based courier that has logistical arms all over the world, pick up directly from our factory, and then Boxc to pick up directly from our factory. And then they handle everything from there. They have their own logistics centers. That was the most economical way to actually do it in the end. We used a service by Singapore Post at first, and that turned into a bit of a disaster, to be very honest with you, Michael. So your listeners, if they ever hear anything about Singapore Post, I would shy away from it.
Yeah, I have to say it too. I don't like to say negative things.
Neither do I. I don't like to say negative. Yeah, we can.
But I think I've also heard that too. So, but
rough.
Yeah, they have a pretty big presence here. But I think they gotta work a little bit on their streamlining of their logistics. Yeah. Hopefully they'll improve. Like, let's just hope that they improve. And then I think a lot of people always talk about the Kickstarter, right? Yeah. And I know a lot of people in China and around the world that have amazing Kickstarters. And then I think also I'm curious, and probably listeners, about after Kickstarter, how is it going?
Yeah, it's been, well, obviously we fulfilled. And shipped to the 58 countries, and then we ended up using one different funding platform called CrowdTilt, and they're based out of San Francisco, to help us determine what we were going to produce for 2014, spring and summer lines. And so basically what we did is a lot of pre-sales in November and December, and use that data and those sales numbers to forecast what we needed to produce for our spring and summer line, and it was pretty spot on. The sales themselves were great, just because of how pre-sales work. You get customers excited about your product before you even make it, so there's lower risk for you. And then it also gave us great data to go into our more formal production for e-commerce, which we launched at the utlab.com back in about 3 or 4 weeks ago, actually, and been doing great. We have traditional sales. You go to our website like any other website now, no pre-sales. You just go on there, pop what you like into your cart, and we ship directly from our 3PL warehouse in Los Angeles, California, globally. And we shipped basically anywhere in the world in under 5-6 days. And it's pretty smart pricing as well, even for the international destinations. Of course, your U.S. listeners, our shipping is very reasonable. And global, we've been told, is pretty good as well. So, we're doing direct to B2C right now, and then now we're going into the B2B space. So with a footwear company, it's very seasonal. So we are planning for our trade shows to take place in July and August in New York, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles, where we'll be working with larger retailers in the United States. And, then just, continue our B2C for the rest of 2014. We have a summer and then a fall winter line coming out, some new variations of shoes. And what's pretty exciting, we're about to launch another Kickstarter for a brand new shoe design, new materials. Everything's new to us, so it's deserving of a Kickstarter. And it's going to launch on June the 3rd in Asia, June the 2nd in the United States. So we're quite excited about it.
Great. We could link that in the notes, and cool. People can check it out.
Yeah, so we took all our homework from the first one and we made this one better, we hope. So
yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? business and entrepreneurship. So I really appreciate you sharing so openly. I definitely learned. I'm sure our listeners learned a lot. So I think maybe some guys want to buy some pencils or some of your other shoes. So
that'd be awesome, Michael.
Yeah. So
fantastic. Thank you for your support. It's all the biggest thing that people have to remember in starting a company, especially via something like Kickstarter, is that it's super important that you get great PR, and that takes a lot of work. But what's more important is that you really activate your personal network to help you get started. I mean, the beautiful part about Kickstarter is that it's this platform that makes everyone feel comfortable, friends, family, colleagues, to support a creator, to support a maker in a good way, to really make them see that, make their dream a reality. And so when we launched our Kickstarter, the number one thing that got us going was, the help from our friends, family, and former colleagues and business network professionals that really got it kicked off the ground. So it was people like you coming to our Kickstarter event, our launch event, and then going and supporting shoes. I have to thank you, to be honest, and people like yourself. So, and thanks for getting this, the information about what we do out there. And like I said earlier in the discussion is, if any of your listeners want to reach out to me, please let them. I'm happy to jump on a call, in an email, whatever it might be, to make it happen.
Awesome. So we'll also put in a text of the episode notes, but if you want to just shout it out, however you want people to.
You can just email me, Joe, Joe, at theutlab.com, theutlab.com. Feel free to email me. That will hit me on my phone and hit me in my inbox at any time. So, and I'll be happy to get back to you.
Great. Thanks so much, Joe. And I think that's a wrap. So we have some pretty good timing that we got him on the show when he just launched his second Kickstarter campaign. That was totally random, and I had to approach him to be on the show. So it's pretty cool that he gets a little bit of shout out for that campaign. I hope some people here maybe want to back him on it. I'm enjoying my pencil shoes from the first campaign, and the ninjas look really cool too. So Joe, you're really doing great, and I'm glad to have you on the episode. All right, everybody, hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next week.
To get more info about running an international business via Hong Kong, please visit our website at www.globalfromasia.com. That's www.globalfromasia.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our iTunes feed. Thanks for tuning in.